ATM leader Vuyile Zungula is on the podium and ready to address supporters of the party as well as the nation and take them through their manifesto. Let's listen in.
Let me greet the Council of Elders of the ATM, greet the royal leadership, ikumkani nenkosi ezikhoyo namhlanje, greet all of the spiritual and faith leadership ezikhoyo. A special greetings to the parties that are here in support of this rally in Johannesburg. I want to greet again all of the structures of the ATM. Nani South Africans nibukele ku Facebook, ku YouTube, nazo zonke platforms ndiyanibulisa. But most importantly, I want to greet the most important people, the servants of the peace movement. Servants. We need to build a capable state in our country. Because if you look at South Africa, the state is failing in our country. That is why you find you have Ogogobe to having to sleep outside post offices because they want grants. It is because of the failure of the state. If you look at all of the things that are going wrong in our country, they paint to one clear picture. The state is failing to govern. That is why, as our priority as the ATM, it is to build a capable state. What does a capable state look like for us as the ATM? Number one is that the state must play a critical role in creating a good quality of life for the citizens. We don't agree with this thing in South Africa, whereby the functions of the state are being privatized. South Africa can never belong to the private sector. The private sector can never be given a responsibility of creating a good quality of life. It is the state that must play that role of creating a good quality of life. Furthermore, there must be a timeless and dependable grant system. We can't have grants esizosifumana namhlanje ngomso zingafumaneki. And grants must renew to reflect the needs of our people. There must be investment in road and rail infrastructure so that we are able to move around as a people and the goods in our country are able to be moved around. But critically, we must make sure ukuba SOEs, the state-owned enterprises, are supported to make sure that they succeed. There's this thing in our country whereby people are made to believe ukuba the SOEs are failing. There's SOEs that are serving the white minority. Your land bank, your PIC, those SOEs are functioning well. No one is saying those SOEs must be privatized. However, the SOEs that are serving the majority of our people, such as ESCOM or Post Office, who are made to believe ukuba they are dysfunctional, therefore they must be privatized. There is a clear program of ensuring that these SOEs that are serving the masses of our people are made to be destroyed, and we don't agree with that as the ATM. We believe there is enough capacity and there is enough resources for all of these SOEs to be in the hands of the state so that the state is able to play a critical role in serving the people. We are equally saying as the ATM, there needs to be quality healthcare for everyone. There can't be a case whereby if you are rich, you are wealthy, you are going to get exceptional healthcare. But if you are poor, you are not going to get quality healthcare. We are equally saying, makukashwe all of the environmental health practitioners. We've got a problem of fake foods that are killing our children. People in our country are being poisoned deliberately by these fake foods. And the people in our country need to know there are environmental health practitioners that are qualified to ensure that whatever that is being eaten and sold to our people, it is of good quality. That is why you are saying, let the government employ all environmental health practitioners so that there is no establishment, whether it is a big retailer or it is a spaza shop, there must be no establishment that will sell fake, expired or rejected foods to our people. We are equally saying traditional healers, nezangoma, must be given a space to operate and practice kwindawo zabo ezihlonitshiweyo, such as the rivers and the mountains. We need to fight for traditional healers nezangoma because they are authentic Africans. It cannot be that isangoma, when sifunu practice, they need to go to a Western institution to ask for permission. That is why we are saying that the current interim council under the Act 22 of 2007 must be appointed permanently, so that izangoma must be guided zezinye izangoma. Traditional healers must be regulated zezinye traditional healers. Also, we are saying that the royal and faith leaders must be given a responsibility and a meaningful role to contribute towards the shaping of the moral character of our country. Currently, we need to know if we are going to have a country that lacks respect for the elders, lacks discipline, that is not who we are as Africans. That is why we need amakhosi, we need abantu benkolo, bakhe kwakhiwe umntu. Because ukuba akwakhiwa abantu eSouth Africa, sizoba nezilwanyana. Izilwanyana zezu uzibona eSouth Africa, ube nentwana ena 18 years, ibone ogogo abadala ba ingabadlwengula. It is because kugcwele izilwanyana. Kufuneka kubuyiswe ubuntu ebantwini. Kuba umntu ngumntu ngabantu. We need to regulate the digital industry, such as Uber and the Bolt, because when these companies coming from these European countries or America, when they come to South Africa, they undermine our people, they undermine our national interest. However, when they operate in Europe, they respect them. Bolt and Uber, when it is operating in Europe, it recognizes the drivers as employees. And when a driver is in an accident, Uber is there to assist the driver. But in our country, we've got our brothers and sisters that are driving Ubers and Bolts. Whenever there's an accident, uBolt akangeni indawo, uUber akangeni indawo. And we also have a problem with these institutions that are going to come in our country, violate our immigration and labor laws by employing or allowing abantu who are not providing a scarce and critical skills to drive the Uber or Bolt. Surely, servants, East South Africa has got the highest unemployment rate. Therefore, it cannot be acceptable that a person will come from outside of South Africa as okuba Uber apa. We've got so many young people that should be occupying that space instead of that space being taken by people coming outside of the country. We also say there needs to be a regulation of the film and television industry so that we do not allow what is happening now, whereby our brothers in that sector are being exploited. And when they are exploited, they've got no one to run to because there's no regulation. The producers in that sector are having so much power. That is why they are easily exploiting our people. We are also equally saying there needs to be educational content on our TV screens. We can't watch TV, go 8 ebusuku. More often than not, we are going to see crime, we are going to see drugs, we are going to see sex, we are going to see zonke ezizinto. What happened to those shows that were educating our people? back in the day, there was also City that were educating people about a problem at the time, which was HIV and AIDS. Currently, we've got a problem of teenage pregnancies, of alcohol and drug abuse, mental health, but our content on TV is not playing its part by educating our people on those problems. As the ATM, we want to be very clear. Ukuba, we will govern this country. What do we mean by governing this country? It is because the ANC is in government, but it is not governing. The ANC iphethwe. That is why you find ukuba they do not have any solutions to the problems we face in our country. That is why you find that the private sector ngesixhosa iyasidalela yenza unothanda. But under the ATM government, the private sector will be under the control and the governance of the ATM. Under the ATM government, we are going to make sure that we are going to hold these banks accountable for rand manipulation. We can't allow our banking sector to go unregulated and operate with impunity. You have a banking sector whereby ukuba umnyama, you are going to be charged higher interest rates, but if umhlophe, you are going to be charged lower interest rates. We can't allow a private sector or the banking sector manipulate the rand and in effect make sure that our people live in perpetual slavery of debt. That is why as the ATM, we are going to ensure ukuba those banks must be held accountable. On the question of the economy, we need to be very clear, servants. We've got a problem of poverty, unemployment, and inequality in our country. Therefore, our solutions are tailored to address those critical problems. That is why as the ATM, our priority is to ensure that there is a mass economic participation of our citizens. We can't live in a country with high such levels of unemployment and poverty. That is why we are saying that the economy must be transformed, because the economy, even during the times of apartheid, it was designed for a selected few people. That is even why even today, the economy, it is benefiting very few individuals. We've got few families in our country that are dominating all economic activities. When you wake up in the morning, by the time you brush your teeth, you have already made money for the Ruperts and the Oppenheimers. When you go to work, you've already made the money. By the time you have lunch, you've already made the money. We're saying as the ATM, we need to transform the economy so that the economy of our country is not in the hands of a few families, but it must be in the hands of South Africans. And the way to do that is that we are going to dismantle the oligopolies and monopolies in our country so that we've got diverse players in the economy. For umtongaziyo, look at all of the sectors in our country. In the banking industry, there is between 5 and 10 banks that are dominating. Go to the financial services industry, it is the same thing. Go to the telecommunications industry, it is the same thing. Virtually all industries in our country are under the control of companies that are less than 10. That is why, Tina, as the ATM, we are saying to change all of that, 50% of government spending must go to SMMEs. Because currently the state is spending more than 80% of its budget on big business. That is why xa ungena e-airport, uzoba ngathi ungena e-Bidvest, yonke into e-airport yenziwa yi-Bidvest. Now, we are not a country e-Bidvest, ne-shareholders e-Bidvest. That is why we are opposing this dominance of the economy by these few companies. We're also saying as a party that there needs to be local processing of our minerals. It cannot be that we live in a country whereby there is so much gold, there's so much diamonds, there's so much mineral wealth in our country, but asikwazi ukuziprocessa. We've got so many young people with skills, but they are not skilled to process our minerals. Our minerals are taken as raw as they are to all of these European countries, and they are sold back to us at very high prices. We're saying as the ATM, the mineral wealth of our country belongs to us as South Africans. When you go to Dubai, when you go to the Middle East, they've got oil. Who does that oil benefit? Abantu balamazwe. But how is it that in our country, when you go to Mpumalanga, you find poverty, disease, and sickness? You don't see ukuba abantu basempumalanga are benefiting from the mineral wealth of coal in that province. We must not accept that we are going to be poor, we are going to be sick as a result of these minerals. However, Americans and Europeans are going to be rich and wealthy, whereas Tina, we are going to be poor and sick by these minerals. We are saying again, ukuba the government contracts under 10 million must be set aside for SMMEs. We can't allow big businesses to dominate the government spending. That is why you are clear to say, under the ATM government, there is going to be a law that is setting aside all of the government contracts under 10 million to be set aside for SMMEs. We are going to again advocate that the PIC invests in production or manufacturing-driven initiatives. Because currently, EPIC is spending a lot of money investing in consumering-driven initiatives. That is why abantu are going to see a mall being built, but celebrate. Whereas Tina, we want the PIC to fund the opening of factories. Because we believe, ukuba, we need a country whereby we consume what we produce. That is why under the ATM government, we are going to open and build factories all across the districts in our country, so that whatever is consumed in those different districts is produced in those districts. We are going to ensure, ukuba, there is a local production of basic goods in our country. We can't be importing soap, import amakhandlela, import toothpicks, to an extent whereby everything we eat, everything that we wear, everything that is made in other countries. As the ATM government, East South Africa is not going to be made in China country. Under the ATM government, most products in South Africa will be made in South Africa. That is how you create jobs. You build factories, you manufacture in that country. That is how you create jobs. We are going to ensure ukuba South Africa iyeke ku-importa izinto that it is able to produce. South Africa is importing umbrella, it is importing sneakers, it is importing a lot of things that we've got the capabilities to produce. Again, we are saying that the township economy needs to be transformed so that it becomes a distribution channel for all of these locally produced goods. And we are going to restore the township and village economy, because it is an anomaly, servants, that you go to the township economy. More than 90% of all businesses in those townships are not operated by South Africans. That is something that is an anomaly, because we want a state in our country whereby South Africans are able to enjoy their economy. They can never be able to enjoy the economy ukuba they are not active participants in the economy. And we're also saying that companies must only employ non-South Africans for scarce and critical skills. Because these companies are greedy, because they take people outside of the country because they want to pay them slave wages. And by doing so, they create tensions and conflict because they offload South Africans in order to employ non-South Africans. We're saying, Tina, as the ATM, we're going to empower the labor inspectors so that the labor inspectors are able to go to each and every of these companies to make sure that there is no company that is violating immigration and labor laws. And these companies that are violating these laws, they are going to be fined heavily and we are going to revoke their licenses. We've got a company here called Ihuway. It was given a contract in our country. When this company was operating, it was found ukuba 100% of the staff in that company is not South African. Linyala elo that you can go to a company and find no South African. That is why we are saying, Tina, kakani voteli ATM, ipati eyaziyo ipower of holding the private sector accountable. On the question of load shedding, people...
All right, those are live visuals from the Jabulani Amphitheatre in Soweto, where ATM leader Vuyolwethu Zungula is currently taking party supporters and the broader electorate through their manifesto. Among others, he has spoken about the need for greater regulation of the banking sector, of course, drawing from the recent allegations of racial profiling when it comes to granting of credit. He also touched on the all-important conversation of beneficiation or value-added processing, which many would know involves the transformation of raw minerals to finished products. It's a big conversation in the country. Many political parties have touched on it. Well, our reporter Kenima Panga, who has been covering the rally, will give us a more comprehensive wrap. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, NGOs say that the fight to end tuberculosis needs collaboration between government and civil society. In Gauteng, World Tuberculosis Day is being observed in the West Rand, in Sedibeng at Everton, where civil organizations and health department projects have set up to screen and spread awareness. SABC News reporter Hasina Gori has more.
Tuberculosis has been identified as the second deadliest virus globally, claiming the lives of 1.3 million people since 2002. The numbers are shared in Africa, holding a large portion, and South Africa is in the top 20 global hotspot countries. Today is World Tuberculosis Day, and we're here in the West Rand in Sedibeng in Everton, which has been identified as one of the areas in Gauteng with a high number of tuberculosis. Yesterday we spent the day at a symposium in the build-up to today, looking at some of the challenges that this disease faces, but also some of the wins that government has been making in strides to win the fight against tuberculosis. While tuberculosis is a curable disease, one of the huge concerns is that many people do not identify, do not test, but also do not adhere to the regimen programs. I want to bring in one of the doctors that are here as part of the Isibani Development Partners. Dr. Ashley, thank you for speaking to us. Can you just talk us through your process and what your contribution is here today in the